Hello my friends, it's Monday and I'm back from the weekend, and Ukraine has been incredibly busy throughout the weekend, so in this video we'll focus on three major events that happened throughout these 2 days. Number one, Ukraine attacked two main vital Russian bridges and knocked them out of the battle for the coming weeks. Number two, Ukraine attacked yet another Russian ship, an oil tanker, Sig, with their maritime drones. And number three, a massive Russian missile attack against Ukraine, the like of which we haven't seen for half a year. The main event, the bridge attacks. There were two bridges and I'll zoom into them for you. Let's go. They're on the northern side of Russian-occupied Crimea. The first bridge is right here, the Chonhar Bridge, and we zoom into it. It's a tiny bridge, actually two bridges that Ukraine struck again. First attack was on the 1st of August. Now the attack I'm talking about was yesterday. They struck those two bridges with Storm Shadow missiles, one for each. And on this lovely photo you can see what a hit it was. 100% accuracy, straight smack in the middle of the road, and there's a hole in it. And yes, one might say, oh, one hole, what is it going to do? You can go around it. It's not about the hole. It's about the fact that Ukraine has demonstrated they can attack it, and if Russia is trying to prepare it, they will attack it again, rendering it de facto not safe for usage. But there's another bridge. Yes, my friends, it's not the only one. Northern Russian-occupied Crimea and southern Russian-occupied Kherson area is filled with these small water bodies, and you cannot actually cross into southern Russian-occupied Ukraine just through land corridor. Well, you can through this Armyansk Isthmus, but if you want to take the eastern part, you have this Chonhar Bridge and you have this Henitshisk Bridge. That's the second and only place where you can cross. This bridge right here. And look at this photo. We see Chonhar Bridge knocked out of the battle for the next coming weeks, and now we see Chonhar Bridge, and you can see from these photos, completely annihilated. You cannot use it at all. With Chonhar Bridge you can go around the hole if Russian authorities resume the traffic there, but Henitshisk Bridge, goodbye. You have to replace this entire element of the bridge to use it again. I think a lot of my viewers might watch this photo and say, oh, one storm shadow does such a small hole to a bridge. Well, yeah, pavement is not an easy thing to destroy. It's quite tough and hard. What I would look at this is the incredible accuracy. I mean, look at the middle line of the road. It hit exactly in the middle of that. I mean, that was the target. That shows how incredible weapon is a storm shadow. If it would be a teeny bit cheaper, that would be perfect. And it is incredibly expensive, but it is stealth and incredibly accurate, and we haven't seen one shot down yet. This is the Chonhar 2 bridges. This is the car bridge. The railroad bridge also has not been restored from the attacks of the August 1st. So now Ukraine has knocked out the entire Russian logistics connections from the eastern side of northern Crimea. The only way Russian logistics now can work is through this Armyansk Isthmus. It's a tough word for isthmus. Well, this Armyansk land corridor which connects southern Ukraine to northern Crimea. This one road right here. But this road takes the entire logistics quite close through Tokmak, through Melitopol, quite close to the front lines, which is vulnerable for Ukrainian drones, artillery, everything, HIMARS for example. This photo is taken fresh after the attack. We can still see the flames, and you can see why concrete is quite hard to take out, even for a storm shadow. Well, it's filled with iron. It's fortified concrete, or how you call it when they have these iron rolls in it. Fortified. It's strong, not soft, not weak. But I'm still surprised the entire element collapsed. I mean, I guess this hit the vital connection part of two elements, and it damaged it, and this element next to this hole collapsed. Looks like a giant stepped on it. It's like a shoe hole, you know, a footprint. A giant named Storm Shadow. On this photo we can also see very badly the hole on the next bridge, so both bridges indeed have been damaged. We can also see that Russia has already started building a third bridge right in the middle of those two bridges to continue the traffic. As you can see this here, this is a traffic jam. This is all logistics that cannot happen right now. I mean, the jam is incredibly long. But now let's go to the Kerch Bridge, because right now I see online a lot of Russian push narrative that the Kerch Bridge, this bridge right here, is not a military target. I mean, it's connected because Ukraine will be striking this bridge again. It is now very minimally used because it is still damaged from the previous attack, but Ukraine definitely will target this bridge again. Russia pushes the narrative that this is not a military target. Well, my friends, let's look at this footage. This is a train passing through the Kerch Bridge, filled to the brink with Russian T-72s, infantry fighting vehicles and other armored vehicles. It's a full military train. It is a military target. That's why Ukraine attacked it. It is the most vital link of the Russian logistics of occupied southern Ukraine. So knocking out the Kerch Bridge fully will be Ukraine's top priority. Also, if you're thinking, why weren't the Russians able to shoot down the missiles, or why is their air defense weak, not defending the bridges, then here you can see the air defense. It's a broom method. I mean, it's effective if the drone comes close enough, you can hit it with a broom, but if it's far away, quite hard to hit a Storm Shadow missile with a broom. If you haven't tried it, don't try it at home also. Dangerous. My friends, now the next topic. On this photo you can see a Russian oil tanker Sig. It says it right here with Kirillitsa. This tanker was used from 2019 to nowadays to transport Russian oil to Syria to fund the Assad regime with oil. The tanker was under United States sanctions from 2019, 4 years already. And on the night of 5th of August, Ukraine used their magical maritime drones. You can see the footage right here, so close to the tanker, and then he turns away for a second circle. I mean, the first one almost nudged the tanker, and this would have been maybe a failed attack. But the drone goes for a circle, goes for a second aim, aims properly, and boom! Connects to the tanker right in the middle of it, smack to the engine room. Tanker has serious issues. Look at this photo. This is the engine room photo taken after it is flooded. Of course, you can see water everywhere. And on this photo, we can actually see where was the tanker yesterday on August the 6th. It was surrounded by support vessels which were towing it to the port. Unable to drive on its own because the engine didn't work. See, it's the Kerch Bridge. It's right south from the Kerch Bridge. There's a lot of other ships next to it. This is the shipping lane. So Ukraine really had a sniper aim. I mean, amongst all these ships, they were able to find the Sig ship. On this photo, we can see what path usually the Russian tankers take on their way to Syria. Rostov-on-Don, next to it, there's a port. It's the Azov Sea. Then they cross through the Kerch Bridge right here. Then they cross the Black Sea. Then they cross the Turkish Strait, and then straight to the Eastern Mediterranean. And right here, there's a reason we don't see the shipping lane going to Syria, because they switch off their responders right next to Cyprus, and then they connect to Syria, dock themselves, offload the oil, offload whatever they're carrying, weapons, for example, for the Assad regime in Syria, and then they go back to Russia. This is how Russia funds and supplies the Assad regime. And Ukraine actually officially warned Russia. They put out the official warning that from July 21st, every ship that passes through Ukrainian territorial waters or occupied Ukrainian territorial waters, which is also the Kerch Bridge, Kerch Strait, they will be considered as a military target. It's basically a message to the ship insurance companies, which are not Western, because the Western companies do not insure Russian ships. It's for other ship insurance companies that still do insure Russian ships that don't do it. We will strike these vessels. Why is this important? Because this is a huge hit for Russian oil exports. Russia exports a lot of their oil through the Black Sea. Now, if the insurance companies see that these ships will be hit, they won't insure the ships. Therefore, the oil will not be exported. Ukraine is hurting Russian oil exports really heavily with these attacks. They're showing they can attack, and these waters are under Ukrainian control. Also, the strange part is that Russia can really do nothing against these attacks. They have their Black Sea fleet in Sevastopol and patrolling the Black Sea, but they have nothing against these drones except for anti-ship missiles and machine guns. But history has shown that this is not enough. Dolphins are not enough. The divers are not enough. Even the broom method doesn't work. Like Ukraine is able to push Russian planes further from the front line, they're able to push Russian ships to the coasts of the Black Sea, away from the middle. A country without a navy. These sea drones, damn it, they're effective. And now the third topic. Yesterday in Saudi Arabia, most of the Western countries and Ukraine and also China took part in a conference that is on the topic of Ukrainian peace talks. It is Ukrainian initiated conference and Russia was not invited. China took part in it. Zelensky personally attended the conference, and while it started, Russia launched one of their biggest missile and drone attacks against Ukraine in the last 6 months. 70 missiles and drones overall were shot out of which Ukrainian Air Force shot down 30 missiles and 27 drones. 13 missiles connected to the targets. Among the shot out missiles, there were 3 Kinzhal missiles that Ukraine was not able to shoot down. The targets were Ukrainian air bases. Now, this missile attack could not have been response against the bridge attacks and the tanker and the landing ship attacks, because it was exactly timed to the Ukrainian peace conference of Saudi Arabia. Such a huge attack takes a lot of planning on the Russian side, so we can assume it was planned a week, 2 weeks before even the bridges and the tankers were hit. And my friends, now the juicy part of the video you all have been waiting for. The butchering of the Patreon names. Tier 10 and above, and I'll be butchering a name for you. Allan Doyle, Albert T. Zapata, cmscuts@aol.com. What the hell? Servike. Thank you, Servike, for supporting the channel. If you like my channel, then the Patreon link is in the description below. Also, go and check out my Twitter account for the best compact view on the events of the Russo-Ukrainian war. Most important is there. Also, check out my Instagram, because very soon I'll be going back to Ukraine and I'll have some cool photos and videos from the trip for you there. Until my next video, my friends, which is tomorrow, and up until Friday every day, Slava Ukraini.